a brief word on critical process, literary process in creating. Let me show you something. These are my notes, files on the book I'm writing about authoritarianism. I have some printouts here. I'm going through things. And I started wondering a lot about, and I've had trouble with, the ordering of a narrative. How do you write a book? How do you figure out which story to tell when? And I'm working on this section about murders in the Philippines under President Duterte. And the significance is that this shows how terrible violent crimes related to politics can happen, but the key is denial. And I started, making notes to myself, well, how do I tell this story? What do I report on? And it's always a critical step for me. I'm making these post-its here, Quezon City Jail. And this is what I'm doing. Started making a little orderly list or disorderly list of scenes from my reporting in Manila. This one says slum, canal, rain, basement brother who did this, police. That's a story about reporting in the middle of the night at a murder scene, and the guy's brother had just been killed, and I asked him who did it. A different murder case. 3 guys on a scooter were shot dead after being released from police custody. Here's a set of murders. A couple named Jericho and Angel. Probably the worst of all the murders I went to in the Philippines, and I went to a lot. 5 dead, Addition Hills. Some things I want to write about going to funerals in this slum area that's very low and wet and full of canals, and very poor area in Manila. And just laying these things out helps me sort of alternate and outline my story, and I can get to not just a series of events in a narrative, but 2 counter narratives, because once I had my main list here of murders, I started thinking, well, what is it makes it possible for an authoritarian leader to get away with murders? Denial. So I alternate a slum scene with a section of a passage about how the president of the Philippines keeps denying he's responsible. Go back to a murder, then come back to HRW, Human Rights Watch, reporting on these murders in the Philippines. Tell the story of Jericho and Angel, but then also tell the story of how Duterte told his own police and army to kill drug users wherever they find them. Back to a murder, back to another piece of narrative. In this case, I remember reporting in the Quezon City Jail, which was pretty serious business. Not quite sure where that's going to go, and a lot of time my outlines change, my narrative ideas change, the structure flows out of the story and the writing, not out of these outlines, but it's always really helpful to put them up there.